Good morning, evening, afternoon. Moss here. Hope you are fantastic, just like our family is on this fantastic holiday. Was it Christmas Eve, right? Yeah, it's Christmas Eve. Tomorrow's going to be Christmas morning for a lot of people. I know a lot of you are already in the future. So happy Christmas, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, happy whatever that you celebrate, right? Because we're all humans. We celebrate different ways. So blessings to you, no matter what you celebrate or what you don't celebrate, right? Just blessings to be your best possible self. All right, so let's jump in. Today we are going to be talking about Christ consciousness. And by the way, again, some of you are Muslim. Some of you, by the way, I think there was a Ramadan, or not Ramadan, but what was happening in the Muslim community? If somebody can share with me there. So happy whatever Muslim um, um, festival was happening today or yesterday. And there's thousands of different religions that are out there for you, right? Thousands and thousands of different religions that are out there. And there's I'm sure billions that celebrate all these different religions. Some of you practice the religion of being atheist, believing in not a religion, which is again a concept or a belief system or something towards a something that's outside of your plane of consciousness. Okay. So, and that's how religions are actually defined, basically from an XI perspective or a nature perspective. Right? You're not defining yourself. um, Religion is not defined by what you believe in, the actions that you take, the foods that you eat, and then the dressings and so on like that. A religion defined through an XI perspective or a spiritual movement, which is another form of religion, just a freer form of religion, so to speak, is an escape mechanism for most people. And we'll talk about what's the difference between, well, I'm spiritual, I'm not religious, and I'm religious, and then they poo-poo the spiritual side or the atheist side, and then the atheist side or the science side, as I would call it, those different aspects. So we'll go through that. Okay. And then we'll explain what the XI perspective. It'll give you a clear perspective on what Christ consciousness is about. Okay. And then sacred wisdom and modern insights that come from these spiritual and spiritual and mystical teachings, and then the path to realization. So those are the three things. And then tonight, what we're going to be doing is we are going to tap in to a highly, highly popular meditation called the Christ consciousness, tapping into that. And as my abilities have gotten stronger and more powerful, and as the world, say, has enlightened more, hence my abilities have gotten stronger, just like a lot of you all, right, have say elevated yourself. You more realizations. People who don't even practice, they're starting to, your friends that don't practice anything, they're starting to say, wake up. So what is that? What's going on here in the world, right? We're waking up into a new consciousness. That's what's going on. And we want to make sure we do it right, because there's two ways we could go. By the way, we could ascend to a higher level, like we have this opportunity, or like many other times, it's like we got to this level of consciousness or awareness. It's like, yeah, you know what, we should be going to a higher level now. But then it's like, shit, you know what? I'm too busy with, the Sunday night football, or too busy buying this, Prada purse, or too busy, with my video games and technology and so on like that. I'll just stay with the God that I believe in, because it actually turns into a God. Right? So let me talk about that, because I threw a lot of things at you on how, say, religions, spirituality, and other forms of God that get created in this reality. Okay, so let's take a breath in. Let's just make it a little experiential for you. Take a breath in. Just notice your chest area, and then all the way through your back. So the midsection of your back, if you will. Okay, and then just sit up strong if you can, confident. Or if you're laying down or doing anything else, again, you want to have that confident stature. All right. All right. So Let's just jump in. I knew I threw a lot at you. This could almost be a lecture series, but we'll water it down to for the masses, right? For those who are interested in the lecture series that we do once here and there. Next year, we're going to do a lot more of it. We'll get into the deep science on how all this stuff works. All right. So whether you have religions, whether you have spirituality, whether you have atheism, whether you have a science belief or anything in between, right? You are looking at a frequency or you are looking at something outside of yourself. Okay. So you're here, you're looking for something else outside of this realm, outside of, say, this consciousness. And this consciousness is defined by a reality that can have that has density, that has space and time in the densest form it can create itself in. Okay, so we're in the thickest consciousness that has space and time. Okay? As you go higher and higher, space and time become, say, less disparate or thinner and thinner, less viscous, so to speak. Hence, if you go into, like in an airplane, 30,000 feet, the air up there is very thin. Okay, not a lot of things can stay up there. Not just because the air is very thin, but if you stayed there long enough, if you had a protective suit or a space station, for example, that you existed in space, the reason why, the reason why they start to, say, fall apart or their bones get softer, it's not just because there's no air pressure. That's a small portion of it. It's because density or time and space molecules get wider, get thinner. They can't create as much density. So if you did exist up there, over time, you would start to, say, fragment yourself, start to pull yourself apart because you can't create that much density at that level. Okay. For metallic objects, obviously, it takes a lot longer for it to, say, separate or fall apart. So simple as that. All right. So that's the concept. Okay. That's one concept. So, I don't know how I got into that, but it's good knowledge for you. But let's take a deep breath in. The point is that this is the densest form. When you create this density or this much density in your reality, you have to forget, or you to create yourself in this much density, you would have to allow yourself to forget a lot of things. Okay. In order for you to remember, or in order for you to forget that you are of physical form here. Okay? Because if you did remember, you couldn't create yourself in physical form. Okay? It's like understanding a magic trick. A magic trick would not work on you if you knew the magic trick. And that's the key about magic tricks. So time and space is a magic trick. So at some layer, as you, say, condition or filters, as I call it, as you create all these filters, and imagine a filter is basically, you've got your light that projects through all these layers of filters. Okay. And each filter is designed to, say, dumb you down or manipulate, say, your light in a certain way. So a light here, you have a purple filter. Anything from that filter on will see purple. And then you put a red filter. Anything from that filter on will see, a tinge of purple through the red light, so whatever color that is, and so on and so on and so on. Okay, you've got a ton of filters that start to render to create you. All right. So what we do is, and this is how it ties back into religion. Okay, as you can see, it's got nothing to do with going to church or being a good person or saying your Hail Marys or praying or anything like that. Right? It just literally just washes all that stuff out the door. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying this is why you see some of those, say, miracles, the religious experiences that people have. It's because of the science that I'm telling you about. is that rendition. So we get away from the woo-woo stuff, or as Einstein would put it, say spooky things at a distance that he couldn't figure it out either. This is the explanation of all that. Okay. And it dispels all that stuff that could be true, but then has been misrepresented or misidentified or misdefined for you. Right. All right. So back to our explanation. So what does that mean as far as a spiritual experience and so on like that? And we'll even get into psychedelics. This is going to be a cool show, by the way. I'm sorry it's not live, guys. We had some technical issues. But the vibes, the frequencies that I generate, yeah, you'll still feel them. Take a breath in, by the way. And note, although this is a recording, why are you feeling the frequencies that I'm generating in real time? It's not that it's in the recording, by the way. So think of it that way as well. Okay. And I'll explain that for you as well. So take a breath in. Here we go. So what happens is that no matter what it is, what we're trying to do as a being, a sentient being, in most situations, in most definitions, even the psychological or even the physical or even the most intelligent individuals here on Earth, they go, well, a sentient being, they're conscious. It's a conscious being that is aware of their reality. Okay, a sentient being in real definition is sentient being, one who has, say, been brought through or by God or created through God. God not defined by the Bible or anything else, okay? Through a being that created us. So that's a sentient being. You have complete power, you have complete access. All right. So as we dumb ourselves down, okay, we have a magic trick called space and time that allow us to stay here. Because if we knew the magic trick, we would disappear, because the magic trick of space and time would not work on us. So over time, we're starting to become more and more conscious. We're starting to become more and more aware. It's like, hey, you know what? This physical world isn't really us. That's why we don't feel like we should feel. That's why, there's always something missing. No matter how much money you make, no matter how good you do in the world, no matter how much you suffer, no matter how much you sacrifice yourself, abuse yourself, or do whatever that, no matter how much teachings that you do, no matter how many Hail Marys or how long you stay in a cave and all those things that you do, there's still something missing in you. Why is that? Because that something missing in you is not of this realm. There's a part of you that got missed out or got, I wouldn't say deleted, but forgotten in your conscious mind, but you still know it because your presence that creates this is still around you. That's why you're being created this way. So that presence, your timeless self or your spirit, if you want to call it, is still rendered with you, but you have no, say, log or memory or any idea that exists. And so you're still here in physical form. You're yearning, no matter what you're doing. You want to discover science. You have a deep need to discover, say, the miracles of this earth. Scientists, that's a religious experience. Do you want to understand somebody called Jesus or a Buddha or a Muhammad, or my goodness, there's thousands of other people, but those are the 3 or 4 great individuals that are still here. They've died thousands of years ago, but they're still here in consciousness. We'll explain that as well, that you want to connect to, because it's like, gosh, they felt like they were bigger, grander beings. It's like, yeah, because they were. And it's not because of the religions they practiced. It's at the level of consciousness that they arose. And again, not through the religions that they didn't even, most of them didn't create the religions, by the way. Other people did. They brought down the concepts and then other people disseminated it for them. So that's one thing to understand. By the way, I'm saying this because those religions will not get you to the level because it's from an outside perspective. It's an outside perspective. Your spiritual movements will not get you to the level of those individuals. And the reason why is, like I just said, it's an outside perspective. It's an outside perspective on somebody, on how somebody did it. So if I was an observer, a scientist observing Jesus, like a lot of, his disciples and everybody else did, it's like, oh wow, Jesus went and, I don't know, did 5 Hail Marys, or every morning, if Jesus went and, had an apple, it's like, God, it's because Jesus had, 2 apples a day in the morning. That's why he became religious, or whatever. People associate the weirdest ass things to, the weirdest ass things, I guess. So we start to connect things that aren't real. Okay. So Jesus starts to talk about, certain ways of being, honor and piety and suffering and so on like that. But we observe that, say, Jesus suffered. We observe that Muhammad did this. We observe that they did this, and then we start to, we start to see, and we go, oh, because of they did this, that's why they are this benevolent or they're that pure. By the way, I'm not discounting the fact that a Jesus, a Buddha, a Muhammad, an Abraham, and many greats that aren't, say, well known. I'm not discounting their abilities or their teachings, by the way, but I'm just discounting how it. I'm discounting how it got watered down through the religion. So I want you to go back into your religions and do it the way they did to purify the religions and take back control of your religions and your belief systems that should help you and benefit you. This isn't about going, fuck, that religion is not good for you. Okay. Other than that religion, destroying people, abusing people. And again, that's not the religion of these great individuals. Got it? They would never do that. Right? They would never go, well, we have to sacrifice kids and we have to, bloodlet and all that stuff. Those aren't the religions of those individuals, those brilliant beings that I talked about. Those religions that, abuse whoever. Those are the religions that think about ethnic cleansing and all that, those aren't the religions of the people that are the people that created those religions or are an icon of those religions. They are not those religions. So do not believe in them. No matter what the church says, no matter your political people, no matter your parents, because look at your parents, you look at your political people. Are they of any vein compared to what a Jesus or a Buddha or Muhammad be? Are they even fucking close to what their personalities or ideations would be? If they're not, practice and study the real truth. Ask deep inside, okay? And if you've got the right heart, if you're clean and if your intention is pure, especially nowadays, because purity is the key, guys. Density is very, very pure now. If you seek the truth of anything that you need or want, okay? You want health. Seek the truth of health and it will be given to you, especially nowadays. So again, focus in on what you want. Do not focus in on what you do not want. Do not focus in on your problems. Do not focus in on anything that's going wrong with you. You can make it a reference point, like we teach you in the 18 days to go, okay, that problem is over there, but what's my new definition without that problem, or what's a better version of me? Okay. My life situation is, fucking up. It's all fucked up here. What's the new version of it for me here so I can take opportunity? But what most people do in this transitionary phase, first third of 2024, is they're going to go, wow, that's my problem. And I'm just going to focus on it. Not a good thing to do. Not a good thing to do, because you are coming into your enlightened beings. Okay, you are coming into your power. This is where the meek shall inherit the earth. All right. So again, you want to do it right. So if the meek awaken to their power and their strength, or unsheath their power, back in the day, the meek was unsheathing their sword. Okay. Meek is basically, leaving your sword until it's called upon. So now, if you're going to unsheath your sword for that, you don't want to do that. You want to unsheath your sword to open up new possibilities and realities for you. Okay. All right. So take a breath in. I know this kind of religious, spiritual experience, but there's billions and billions of religions that are fucking doing it all wrong. Basically, literally, we're all doing it wrong. Okay. You want to do it right, the right way, despite what anybody else says. All right. So take a breath in again. So where was I? I'm just cleaning you up, guys. Even if this is a recording, I can see the type of people that say are going to be listening to this, because we've done this enough times. So the deal is that, one, when Jesus or Buddha, and we'll stick with Jesus because again, it's supposedly his birthday, or let's just say a lot of people focus in on him. Okay, this beautiful man. And again, I talk about the beauty of this man. Not the religions or anything based after him, or the ideas of suffering or anything that's based, but just the consciousness that this gentleman reached to a higher level. Okay. So before he was that grand level, he had already reached the consciousness. And that's the key that many people say forget. Again, no matter who it is, we're just talking about Jesus. So Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad. So what they did is that somehow they elevated to another consciousness beyond this realm, not the first realm. This is physical density. Okay. And then on top of that layer, you have, say, layer 1, level 1 consciousness, or your soul level. Okay? So if you've ever felt your grandmother around you after she's died, or somebody around you after they've died, their soul exists. Their spirit is still, they're gone, but the soul holds on to, say, fragments of time and space, or memories. And then that soul aspect of them is what you're feeling as ghosts and apparitions and so on, like that. Okay. So it's kind of like having if you've ever cut off a fish, the body still flops around, or a chicken, the body still walks around. Basically, that's what it is. You've cut off you've disconnected your physical form from your spirit. That thing that keeps moving, it would be your soul. Simple as that. So that soul, since it goes into a timeless realm, it could stay there forever, right? Until something or someone wakes it up. So that soul is what you're connecting to. So most people who connect to a Jesus frequency, a Buddha and all that, it's a soul frequency that you've rendered in your mind on what a Jesus or Buddha would think like. This is where people who go, yeah, I had a near-death experience and I experienced Jesus, and Christianity is real. And there's nothing else. That's bullshit. Because there's Indians, there are, Buddhists, there are Muslims to go, yeah, you know what? I've had a near-death experience, and, I saw the brilliance of Muhammad and what his teachings were. Or, the Buddhists, it's like, shit, you know what? I went and, Buddha came to me and we meditated, had tea and all that stuff. So that, therefore, there's no other religion other than whatever they died into, because whatever they believed in, because again, that was their family culture. They just went to another level, and it goes, shit, it's as real as it could be. And I didn't see anything else. I didn't see any Christians running around. So this is the religion. This is what we're going to get into, by the way, in 2024. People are going to be fighting on what's correct and what's not. Fortunately, they're all fucking wrong. They're all wrong, because if that power was here in solid form, like a Jesus, okay, if you brought an inkling of that power, his presence, even if it's his consciousness, his robe, for example, would have so much frequency that just donning that robe or having that robe around you, and you can experience it. By the way, I went into there was a museum, Islamic museum in Turkey. You walk into the room and it's got Muhammad's artifacts, his clothing and utensils and so on. It's like, holy shit. You can feel the presence still there. It lingers. Kind of crazy, right? So imagine a Jesus or a Buddha. Again, great, powerful people. So if you're bringing that knowledge or that intelligence, which is much more powerful than physical, say, objects that have that present or have imbued or have been blessed by that presence, you would feel it. So their teachings would change you, alter you to be a better version of who you are. You would not be sick, basically. You would be healthy. You would go through life a lot easier, right? So again, if your religions are not doing that, keep searching. I'm not saying it's wrong, but keep searching for the truth. All right, so science on this. Take a breath in again. All right, so that dispels a lot of people that go, well, yeah, that's, I went to this certain level. You went to a certain level, that level, and no more. So you went to a level 1, maybe a level 2 level when you had a death experience. Okay. So there's many layers of death. All right. So here's the key. What Jesus did, Buddha and so on, Jesus specifically, what Jesus did was go to a higher level of consciousness and be aware that it's like, you know what, I'm an infinite being up here, maybe a level 100 consciousness or maybe 200 level consciousness. And just to give you clear numbers, say that it went from 1 to 1,000 levels, okay? Although they're infinite levels. All right. But just for clarity, Jesus was at a 1,000 level. All right. That's the highest of his consciousness. Again, there's higher consciousness than what he ascended to, by the way. Because consciousness, it goes to infinity. And it goes to infinity both ways, by the way. The dark side goes to infinity, or hell, if you want to call it, goes to infinity, and it gets pretty damn dark, by the way. But there's a reason for it that we won't get into here. So Jesus went to, say, a level 1,000, okay, out of, and that's the topmost consciousness that we can get to, although it's not. So he's at a level 1,000. Most people, no offense, I would say they're at a level like 4 or 5. Most people who are truly religious and stuff, let's just say below 10, below double digits. Simple as that. Okay. So you can only understand, say, a Jesus frequency, or we can understand a Jesus frequency through the level that we're based on. So if we're seeing, say, certain colored glasses, say we've got rose colored glasses on and we're at level 10, right? Or we die and we die, we go to a level 12, 13, 14, 15, for most people, because they're not conscious. So you can only go to a certain level. So, now you've got, I don't know, beautiful colored glasses, like brilliant blue or whatever color is your, I don't know, heavenly color. And you look up and you go, oh, that's a Jesus frequency. Because Jesus's frequency still emanates, just like everybody else's frequency still emanates, by the way, okay, down onto you, down onto this physical platform. And you go, oh wow, that's the Jesus frequency, and it's beautiful. But again, your definition of it is based on your rendition of the lenses that you are wearing, not the purity of the light that's coming through. So I'll say that again. Your rendition of what a Jesus frequency is again the rendition of what you're wearing and who you are, the lenses that you're wearing, okay, the colored glasses that you're wearing, not the pure light that's coming through. Simply saying the color of the sun is, white, okay? But if you're wearing dark glasses and you've never taken those glasses off, you would see a tinted tinted value or tinted color on what the sun is. And you'd go, oh, the sun has these attributes, which is totally false. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you're wrong. Okay. Obviously, there's certain elements that will come through to say, help you understand it, but it's not the purest version of it because you've got lenses on. Simple as that. Okay. Again, I'm not here to dispel your religions or say you're all wrong or anything. I think those religions and spiritual movements and everything else is great, but start to see what's not right in them and start to improve them so that your lenses become clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer. And as they become clearer and clearer, you go, oh shit, that's the light that I've mistaken all along. By the way, this is what's going to be happening in 2024. The lens of human consciousness gets clearer and clearer, whether you like it or not. Okay. Your lens, your personal lens, might get darker. Like there's a huge lens over human consciousness that we see, and then your light, you've got that human lens, consciousness lens, and you're below that lens, so you're part of it. So your lens has to adapt to this lens. Okay, so there's different lenses, but the purity, the possibilities of you seeing the light, because human consciousness is awakening, and a lot of distortions are coming up. That lens is getting a lot clearer for you, and as it does, well, you get to see the light of Jesus in this scenario, plus many other things, in a very clear fashion, which allows many individuals, as Jesus said, that there are many people that are going to do far greater things than I can. Okay? So what that means is that his light is still transcending. It's always transcending. Your grandparents that have died or whoever has died, their consciousness is always, say, shining their light upon you. Okay? Or everybody else. It just depends on who attaches on to, say, that light or is in view of that light. And I'll just explain that in a second. So, for example, you have a Jesus frequency that will come through, right? If you latch on, so there's a consciousness with each layer that's there. Okay, in this case, it's 1,000 layers. So if you're at layer 5 or 6, a Jesus frequency would be very different than a level 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or 1,000 level frequency, but still a Jesus frequency. So you attach on to, or you plug into that consciousness, hence you'll start to, say, interact or understand the logic of Jesus. The reason why this is so important for you, the reason why this is so very important for you is because it's not the practices that you take, okay? It's not how many people you help. It's not all those things that people do. It's not tithing. It's got nothing to do with that, although it benefits, okay? We're just putting the cart before the horse in today's society. And that's why religions get really, really heavy, right? Especially if there's a lot of young people here listening, right? It just doesn't work out for us because you cannot, in this scenario, you cannot, say, access that consciousness, higher levels of consciousness by doing something in this physical form. Okay? Jesus never did that, nor did anybody else. People of high intelligence, like Tesla, or you say even Elon Musk, right? They go, well, what does Elon do? Well, he works his ass off. He works, I don't know, 100 some hours a week. That's why he's successful. No, that's not why he's successful. Michael Jackson, he was so creative and he did this. I don't know. He played his guitar. I don't know. Even he played his guitar. He did his dance moves every morning for 5 hours, or Michael Jordan, he did this for, he practiced his ass off. And that's why he became, no, none of those are right. Right. So this isn't just about a religious aspect. This is about you becoming your pure potential of who you are. This is about you becoming your grandest version of who you are. Success, you do success wrong, it'll fuck you up. Just like it has millions of other people. If you don't believe me, look at Matthew Perry, Madonna. I was thinking that other beautiful woman, what's her name? Marilyn Monroe and all that. They did it wrong. Okay? So what you want to do right? And it's the same thing as the religion guys, right? That's why I'm putting all the success side in, because people go, well, see, religion isn't working, so my success is going to be working for me. Fuck no, it's all the same thing. You guys are doing all the same shit. Just you're just different avenues of it. That's all. You're looking downwards and you're going, gosh, I'll be successful and then I'll be great. Not working. Or I'm going to go do some spiritual shit that's defined by the society and then I'll do great. Not going to fucking work. Not going to work at all for you all. And if kids are listening, don't listen to my profanity, but listen to the words that I'm saying for you. Right? It's not going to work. Look at your parents. It didn't work. It doesn't mean that that religion is not real. Right? Search for the real meaning, because that's what your generation is about. Because I get more and more younger kids. Right? And I'll talk about profanity in just a second here. Just because it's a beef. But what you want to do, what they did, okay, was they somehow ascended to a higher level frequency. Okay. So say Jesus went to a higher level frequency, say like a level 5, 6, 10, maybe in the beginning, or maybe he was born into it. So he had a higher propensity, because nobody can do it for you. Say your lineage was a grand being, right? Jesus' lineage, obviously of a grand being, he automatically has the propensity to rise to a higher level, okay? Because people before them has done it. So whether he chooses to use that propensity or not, it's up to him. He obviously chose it and went way further than his family. And that's what he did. So he went higher and higher and higher. And this is where, as he ascended consciousness, therefore, the understandings or the mechanics of this world worked out for him, and he had deep, say, logic or deep motion or deep understanding and deep motives that helped and blessed this world, right? So he ascended to a higher level, and then he came down back to this level in pure form. That's the key. I'll say it again. He ascended to a higher level, okay? Not practicing what people practice, right? This is an internal practice. This is basically what we do in becoming exponentially intelligent. We ascend to a higher level. Have you ever noticed that? Again, even if this is a recording, comment in on, there's plenty of people listening on the recording. You ascend to a higher level, right? And then what happens? Your solutions, your problems that you have here at the physical level start to pan out for you. They start to disappear. Miraculous healings happen. Does that remind you of anybody or anything? Okay. Again, you copy what works and don't copy what doesn't. Again, the key is to send to a higher level consciousness. Elon Musk, he wants to do great things for the world and so many other people. Who's that guy that just got invited back to X? I forgot his name, but he was shut down for a while. Or even Andrew Tate. Even Andrew Tate. I was just listening to an interview. They want to do great things, and I'm going, fuck, that's not going to work. Why? Because they're here, they're in physical form, and they're trying to find physical solutions to things. We've done that fucking for 10, 20,000 years, and it hasn't fucking worked. We need to understand that, again, we need to elevate our consciousness, understand it from here, understand it from an omnipotent point of view, and focus down and go, oh shit, that's why that didn't work. Let's do it another way. And that's where we get real ideas and real solutions that'll work. And that's the way Einstein did it. It's like, hey, you can't solve a problem in the same reality as the problem. You can't find that solution. That's why. That was Jesus's proclamation, by the way. So, right? So the key, elevating yourself and going down. Most people, again, do it the other way, and then they look upwards towards the heavens and go, there's got to be something that needs to help me, like a Jesus or a Buddha or a God or something like that. No, the key is that you're missing yourself on the internal aspect of who you are. You're missing the grander version of who you are, because your grander version is up here. You just forgot all these layers in between. So as you understand that, wait a second, I'm a grander version. Most people go, well, I know I'm a grander version because I've done spiritual practices. No, you don't understand that you're a grander version because your spiritual practices bring you down here. Because if you stop doing your spiritual practices, what that means is that if you stop doing your spiritual practices, what that means is what? You stop connecting to that higher self. So that's not a spiritual practice. It didn't awaken you to the level. Spiritual practices or religious practices or awakening practices through psychedelics and so on, they'll always elevate you. And the key is that sure, they can take you up there, but the key is you stay up there. Like again, like a Jesus would. He just stayed up there and went higher and higher and higher. You always have to maintain your spiritual practice. You always have to maintain your wealth. You always have to maintain your philanthropy and all the stuff that you do. You have to say your Hail Marys. You have to do a certain way, do a certain thing every morning for you to go, okay, I better do this. Otherwise, I'll lose my connection here. If you're having to do that, then you're doing it wrong. Should be nicer. You're not doing it wrong. You just haven't figured out how to stay at this level consistently. So again, the way to stay at this consistently is I explained it before. Okay, understand frequencies or layers of frequencies in time and space. Okay. And then your practices will elevate you to this level. And then when you get to this level, you'll go to the higher level and higher level. Otherwise, you're always like this cycle. Gosh, I got to go motivate. I got to practice 3 hours a day. I got to fucking be a gladiator. I got to do this. How many of you do that? I'm not talking about a specific person, but maybe I am. And then what? It elevates you to this level, but shit, it's like, how long do I have to do this? Because I'm going to go back, back down. That's that cycle that people do. Even success cycles, religious cycles, spiritual cycles, creativity cycles, all these cycles is this cycle that I'm talking about. So it's not just a religious experience, but once you stay at that, you writing a book, for example, will become a religious experience. You playing basketball at high levels will become a spiritual experience. You just sitting in the ocean will become a religious experience. And you can stay there, right? You move away from the ocean, right? You go back home after your vacation, and where do you go? Boom. You go to a Tony Robbins seminar or whatever. What happens? 3-4 days later? Boom. It didn't work out for you, right? Religious experiences, the difference between religious and spiritual experiences, they're supposed to elevate you. You do a psychedelic drug, like you go to Burning Man, you go to all these ayahuasca ceremonies and all that stuff. It's like, well, shit, I've done 40 ayahuasca ceremonies, and I'm still at the same level. Because the last ayahuasca ceremony got me to this level. The next ayahuasca level got me to maybe, like a millionth of an inch higher than the last level because you didn't maintain. So, and then what the problem is, here's the bigger problem, and this is what we've gotten to, okay, and we'll wrap it up, is it's even worse. What happens is, like, I did an ayahuasca ceremony or I did a psychedelic experience and I, used, say, 1 ounce of whatever, and I went to a level 7. And it was great. The next time, since you went back down, okay, you didn't learn how to do it properly. You didn't understand the mechanics of, as you go back down, you're supposed to look and go, shit, you know what? All this stuff in my life, I'm supposed to move out so I can be a clear, less heavier version of who I am. So the next time I do an ayahuasca or whatever experience, I can go to a level 8. But people fuck up. People don't, what they do have those experiences. And I'm just using this as a psychedelic or ayahuasca experience, just as one example, right? And I'll put it to your life as well. Don't worry. And then what you do is, like, boom, you go back down. It's like, shit, I need that ayahuasca experience again. So I'll go back up. And then you go back to a level 7. But then you need more and more. Instead of an ounce, you need 2. Instead of 2 ounces, you need 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, just to get to the same level. And it gets harder, because when you go back down and you didn't clean your shit up, it just means that shit got heavier and heavier for you. Simple as that. Okay. Now, the same thing, people will laugh at the, say, ayahuasca experience, but the same thing happens to you when you become wealthy. The same thing happens to you when you become, super athletic. The same thing happens to you when you become religious or spiritual. Have you noticed the woke movement, right? They've tried everything. They've fallen back down because they couldn't figure for them to save their asses on, hey, I got to elevate myself. So what do all those things have in common? All those individuals who get so extreme, they get so frustrated with themselves, that they turn into the woke movement. They turn into people going, they're not my people. They're the problem that we're having. Political leaders, no matter what it is, this is that same fucking cycle that happens over and over and over again. The shit, it could have worked. Anything could have worked, but it didn't, because they didn't do it properly. They didn't clean up. And then what happens? They go back to the same thing. They get pissed off at themselves, but they can't get pissed off at themselves because they're pure, because they're religious, and they're this spiritual journey. They're one with nature. They're this elite because they've got everything and they should know everything. And, and everybody doesn't make millions or billions, and they're the smartest person. That's Bill Gates. Oh, sorry, not to mention names. But then it's like, we know everything. And then what happens? They start to destroy the infrastructure of human consciousness. That is what we have to destroy, guys. That is where you all have to wake up and go, no, you dickheads, that's not the way it should go. Right? And you have to stand up for yourself. You have to stand up for yourself and go, no. So this is the part of the Christ consciousness that many don't understand. People just think, it's a living experience. I feel love. We should all love. No, you wake up, clean your shit up, so everything else gets cleaned up. Otherwise, we'll be swimming in our garbage. And right now, we're drowning in our own shit, guys, from centuries that we've never cleaned up. And we're smelling the stench that's happening. This year, by the way, as we go through the end of this year and in the beginning, we'll start to see how bad it smells. And then finally people will go wake up. It's like, shit, I can't go back down here anymore. Many of you are experiencing that. The world is experiencing that. So, all right. So that's what Christ consciousness is about. Right? The man, Jesus, he basically showed us the blueprint. Follow his blueprint. It works. Right? It works really well. Everybody was at that level, we wouldn't have the problems that we do today. All right. So sacred wisdom, modern insights, merging ancient spiritual wisdom, literally they're all different avenues of, say, a consciousness or an opportunity for us to awaken and realize that our light is created at higher levels, not the thing that we are at this level. Okay. So that's the way all that stuff hopefully makes sense now for you. So when you go through Christmas, okay, if you're going to pray to Jesus, go, hey, Jesus, please help me understand me clear so I can understand you at a higher level. Okay, clear my shit out so I can understand you at a higher level. And then you'll see the real light of Jesus. Will help you do that in this Christ consciousness meditation coming up later today, Sunday. All right. Thanks for being here, guys. I wish I could read you all. By the way, this is where you get unconditional love, completeness. This is where your family members, can access the love. This is where, a nice nuclear family comes through. This is where you can actually enjoy each other through the holidays and enjoy other people around you. It can become an amazing world if we decide to. But not about kindness or anything like that. It's about your frequency that you resonate at. So again, what frequency are you resonating at? And if you're running at a sucky frequency, ask yourself, what frequency would be better for me, and what patterns do I need to remove so I can resonate at that frequency and stay higher? If you're going to do psychedelics, or you're going to get wealthy, or if you're going to read a passage in the Bible or the Quran or whatever that you believe in, it's like, I'm going to read this passage, okay? Not to keep me away from sin, but I'm going to read this passage. How can it help me remove the distortions that I live in? Okay, how can it help me remove the religious, the familial, and my own bullshit, so I can ascend to a higher level? Okay, have it with that intention. If you pray, or if you read any spiritual book, any motivational book, anything like that, any religious book. All right, guys. All right, religion, guys, beauty, grace is physics. It's science. It's not woo-woo stuff. Right? All right. Peace, guys.